On the highlights of the news. President Tinubu arrives Brazil for state visit, holds talks with President Lula. Federal government shuts 22 unaccredited tertiary institutions. And JAMB directs UTME candidates to re-upload 2025 WAEC SSCE results. Good afternoon and welcome to Rstv News at 3. I am Catherine Ago. Do you love and care about Rivers State and her peace? Let's build and take her to greater heights. This is a task we must accomplish. You can watch Rstv News live on YouTube and Facebook at Rstv Online. You can subscribe and click on the notification bell for updates on our live feeds. Now the news in details. Acting on the flash floods alert handed down by the Nigeria Meteorological Agency, Rivers State government has assured of saving lives and reducing the negative impact of the imminent flooding in flood-prone local governments of the state. Chairman of the Central Working Committee on Flood Management and Control and Secretary to the Rivers State Government, Professor Ibibia Loki-Worika, gave the assurance at the beginning of a 4-day community-based flood sensitization campaign at Akinima in Ahoda West local government area. Gaspar Anele was there. Now take a look at his report.
Represented by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Environment, Owel Okirioku, Professor Worika explained that the essence of the early sensitization exercise was to build confidence in the residents ahead of the impending flooding, giving them information on their response before, during, and after the flood. According to him, the state government has released funds for the internally displaced people, provision of relief materials, and enjoying those affected to strictly adhere to instructions.
And Rivers State is one of the areas that they projected will be flooded. We are sensitizing the people on how they can dictate flood warnings. That's why we got the NEMA people, the officials are talking.
Administrator of Ahoda West Local Government Council, Promise Jacob, assured of partnerships with volunteers and governments to mitigate the impending disaster.
We have agreed to carry out every directive issued to us by Rivers State government, to whom NEMA relates with and from whom we receive directives.
The effort of the government coming to sensitize across, we appreciate it, but let them do something.
God's Power Anele, Rstv News.
Moses was almost perfect before God, but was denied of divine grace in his last days because of anger. In his special report, Gaspar Anele underscores the repercussions of anger and how it could be surmounted. Take a look.
God chose the biblical Moses to be his mouthpiece, empowering him to deliver the Israelites from the hands of Egyptians in spite of the fact that he was slow to speak and stuttered. Because of the assignment God had for him to fulfill in his latter years, Pharaoh could not destroy him even in infancy. In the long run, Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, crossing the Red Sea miraculously, received the 10 commandments from God but broke them in anger because of the idolatry of his people, which resulted in his denial to enter God's promised land. Does this type of anger still affect people adversely in these contemporary times?
In Exodus 32 verse 19, we saw where Moses returned with anger and then destroyed what he ought not to destroy. Unholy anger makes the presence of God to be far from you. And again, anger opens the door for demonic attack. When a man is angry, he opens door for devil to use him to execute his will.
Bible-believing faithful also shared their views about the negative influence and possible ways of overcoming the power of anger.
So when you're angry, anger can deny you God's blessings. Anger can deny you the relationship you have with people. Anger can make you cannot do something right.
But if you're able to walk away, if you cannot handle the tension, you just excuse yourself and walk away. You save yourself that trouble.
For me as a Christian, whenever I'm angry, I try to make sure I understand that anger is of fools, because it ends up destroying you yourself and the person involved, and you end up regretting your actions afterward. So what I try to do when once I'm angry, I try to walk away from a place and find time to make sure I regain myself.
Anger has denied us something in our families. In those days, there are some people that will get angry and then we go out before they understand. As they return, their right has been denied them of. So, child of God, anger will not work anything good. Like he saw in the case of Moses, he didn't produce anything good. He can't produce something good for you. So repent and ask the Holy Spirit to help you to manage that anger.
Living above anger is a virtue every Christian must have, bearing in mind that its resultant effect is condemnation and destruction. God's Power Anele, Rstv News.
President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Brasilia, Brazil to begin a state visit aimed at strengthening diplomatic, economic and strategic relations between Nigeria and Brazil. President Tinubu, who flew in from Los Angeles, United States, was welcomed at the Brasilia air base by senior Brazilian government officials, including Ambassador Carlos Sergio Sobra Duarte, Secretary for Africa and the Middle East, and Ambassador Carlos Jose Arias Moreno Gasate, Brazilian's ambassador to Nigeria, as the Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Bianca Ojukwu, was also present at the reception. Following his arrival, President Tinubu was received at his hotel by other ministers, heads of key government agencies, and private sector representatives who will participate in a series of bilateral talks and the signing of memoranda of understanding. The official welcoming ceremony, which will feature full military honors, is scheduled to take place at the Planalto Palace. President Tinubu will hold a private meeting with Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, followed by expanded bilateral discussions involving senior officials from both countries. The two leaders are expected to witness the signing of the multiple MOUs before addressing a joint press conference. During the visit, President Tinubu will meet with the President of the Brazilian Senate, the President of the Chamber of Deputies, and the President of the Supreme Federal Court. He will also participate in the Nigeria-Brazil Business Forum, where discussions are expected to focus on trade, investment, and economic partnerships. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has urged President Tinubu to direct the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission RMAFC to immediately suspend the patently unlawful and unconstitutional pay rise for political and public office holders in Nigeria, particularly the President, Vice President, governors, their deputies, and the country's lawmakers. Serap urged him to reject the imminent pay rise for politicians and encourage the Vice President, governors, their deputies, and lawmakers to do the same. It also urged him to direct the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, to ensure full and effective compliance. President Tinubu ordered the NUC, the NBTE, and other relevant agencies to take decisive action against what he described as certificate millers who undermined the credibility of education sector. Represented by the Director of University Education at the Federal Ministry of Education, Rakia Ilyasu, President Tinubu emphasized that integrity of the academic system must be upheld. Although the names of the affected tertiary institutions have not been made public, the Commission hinted that institutions fall short of its required standards after NCCE conducted personnel audit, financial monitoring in all the 21 federal colleges of education. Recall that President Tinubu recently urged the National Universities Commission, the National Board for Technical Education, and the National Commission for Colleges of Education to eliminate illegal higher education institutions in the country. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has directed all candidates who uploaded their O-level results before the release of the final 2025 West African Senior School Certificate Examination results to revisit the accredited centers and re-upload their results. In its weekly news bulletin, the board explained that all previously uploaded results have been cleared from its systems to prevent discrepancies and ensure that only the official WAEC final results are used for admission processing. To address the issue, JAMB has mandated a fresh upload for every candidate irrespective of whether the new results differ from those uploaded earlier. Meanwhile, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has cautioned tertiary institutions that violated admission guidelines on the submission of matriculation lists, warning that such lapses could disenfranchise candidates and render their admissions illegitimate. The board said the affected institutions, which failed to upload their matriculation list as required, have tendered apologies. It, however, failed to disclose names of the institutions. JAMB Registrar Professor Ishaq Olayede described the infraction as an aberration, noted that some institutions had conducted admissions on the Central Admissions Processing System but failed to matriculate the admitted students. He stressed that matriculation is a mandatory process outlined in Section 23, subsection 7 of the admissions guidelines, which requires every institution to upload its matriculation list for analysis. The registrar further warned that any candidate whose name is not on the national matriculation list would be considered not duly admitted by JAMB, as such illegal admission will not be condoned. While cautioning the institutions, JAMB acknowledged the apologies and assured that measures would be taken to ensure candidates are not unfairly punished for institutional lapses. He insisted that all affected institutions must submit formal letters of apology on CAPS within 24 hours, upload all pending matriculation lists within 7 days from August 18, and ensure affiliate institutions operate strictly through their parent institutions' designated supervisors overseeing compliance. Do you love and care about Rivers State and her peace? Let's build and take her to greater heights. This is the task we must accomplish. Still to come, Sudanese officials assess Khartoum's readiness for government return. These and more stories after the break. Stay tuned.
I need the police that can respond to emergencies first.
I want the equipment I need to do my job.
I want a police that won't harass or arrest me for no just reason.
I want to be valued for my work, not feared by honest people.
I want a police that won't ask me anything for the boys.
I want a decent salary that is paid on time.
If it happen with good laws,
proper funding,
training,
and cooperation.
If it happen.
If it happen.
If it happen.
This is Rstv World News. We bring you world-class news, accurate, first-hand, entertaining, balanced analysis. Rstv, Channel 22 Port Harcourt.
You're welcome back. Now to the rest of our news stories. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has condemned the actions of one of its former staff, Olakunle Alex Folarin, who was recently spotted participating in a matchmaking program on social media platform hosted by popular entertainer Lege Miami. The agency has ordered his immediate arrest for retaining official EFCC property, including an identity card, following his dismissal for certificate forgery. The anti-graft agency, in a statement on its official X handle, said Fulari served as a driver at the EFCC's Ibadan Zonal Directorate. He was, however, dismissed after investigations confirmed he had forged his academic credentials. The statement said EFCC Executive Chairman Ola Olukoyede has ordered Folarin to be arrested and emphasized that Folarin's actions should not be associated with the Commission. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Kano State Command, says it has arrested a 29-year-old male suspect with 7,000 suspected capsules of tramadol. The command's public relations officer Sadiq Mohammed Meigatari, who disclosed this in a statement in Kano, said the suspect was arrested by operatives attached to the Kiru Area Command along Zaria, Kaduna and Kano Road, Kwana Dangora area, while coming from Lagos with a substantial cache of tramadol capsules. Meigatari explained that drugs weighing 4.1 kilograms were concealed in a 20-liter oil jerrycan and described the arrest as a major breakthrough in the fight against substance abuse in the state. According to him, the NDLEA operatives demonstrated professionalism and expertise in detecting the concealed drugs. The Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, FEMA, has signed a long-term strategic framework agreement with the Global Cooperation Promotion Research Center, GCPRC, marking a new chapter in the country's pursuit of sustainable road infrastructure development. The agreement, signed at FEMA headquarters in Abuja at the weekend, formalizes cooperation between FEMA and GCPRC, an international think tank established in Nigeria in February 2025 under the supervision of the Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. GCPRC is dedicated to fostering global cooperation, advancing South-South partnerships, and deepening the China-Nigeria strategic relationship. Under the terms of the agreement, both parties will collaborate in repair and maintenance of federal road networks, road transportation security, and road asset management. The partnership aims to leverage international best practices, particularly China's expertise in modern road construction and maintenance and management, to accelerate the modernization of Nigeria's transportation infrastructure in compliance with the country's laws and standards. And on the foreign scene, in a significant step towards re-establishing control, two of Sudan's top officials have visited the capital to evaluate security and infrastructure repairs, signaling the official government's intent to end the 16-month exile in Port Sudan and return to Khartoum by October. Let's join Deborah Oleji as she tells us more from the foreign scene.
The Deputy Chairman of Sovereign Council, Malik Aga, and the Deputy Commander of the Army, Lieutenant General Shams Al-Din Kabashi, have arrived in the city to personally supervise the restoration of essential services and engage with civilian and military leadership. Their visit, as confirmed in official statements, marks the highest level assessment of conditions in the world zone capital as the government intensifies its plan for a return. The Sudanese government have been operating from the Red Sea city of Port Sudan since the brutal conflicts between the National Army and the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces erupted on April 15, 2023, devastating hurricane and displacing millions. At least 15 people, including 4 journalists working for the international media, are reported to have been killed in an Israeli strike and a hospital in southern Gaza Strip. The Hamas-run civil defense said its one cameraman was killed in the attack of Nazar Hospital. Several people were killed in an initial strike, and others in a second which happened, and rescuers attended the scene. The Israeli military and the Prime Minister's office said they had no immediate comments. France said it will summon the U.S. ambassador to Paris, Charles Kushner, over what it says are unacceptable allegations of failing to tackle a surge in anti-Semitism. Kushner, who is Jewish and whose son is married to U.S. President Donald Trump's daughter Ivanka, made the comment in an open letter to French President Emmanuel Macron in the Wall Street Journal, echoing Israel's criticisms of France days early. Kushner said there had been an explosion of hatred towards Jews in France since the war in Gaza began. Deborah Oleji, Rstv Foreign News.
And on entertainment, many fans of Rstv Bears have reportedly lost their lives in a fatal accident. Sharon Iro tells us more.
The victims were said to have passed away while returning from the Shea Vibes concert on Saturday night at Lagos Island. An eyewitness who reviewed the incident advised the public against reckless driving while explaining that the victims had engaged in a car race on the expressway. The fatal incident, which involved more than 4 vehicles, sparked outrage and grief online. Fashion stylist and influencer Vicky James has revealed that rumors claiming she stole her husband, Femi Atere, from a friend nearly pushed her into depression. While appearing on the Nancy Isime show with her husband, Femi Atere, Vicky James recounted that one of the most hurtful and false rumors about her marriage was the allegation that she was involved with her husband while he was still in a relationship with her friend. The fashion entrepreneur admitted that the rumor nearly drove her into depression, explaining that the period left her emotionally shattered and worried about the potential impact on the false claims on her personal brand. Actor Jerry Adler, best known for playing advisor Herman Hirsch Rapkin in The Sopranos, has died aged 96. Although he found fame on the small screen, Adler did not start acting until his early 60s as he was preparing to retire from an illustrious behind-the-scenes Broadway career. The theatre veteran worked alongside stars including Julie Andrews, Angela Lansbury, and Richard Burton during more than 3 decades in the industry. The Brooklyn-born actor passed peacefully in his sleep on Saturday, representatives said on behalf of his family, according to the Associated Press and Fox News. Adler worked as a stage manager, supervisor and director on more than 50 Broadway productions after being offered his first job by his father, who works in the industry while at university. Sharon Iro, Rstv Entertainment News.
And in sports, the 32-year-old former Super Eagles captain featured from start to finish in Umuahia as Abia Warriors claimed a narrow 1-0 victory in a gritty season opener. Odibi Tarinabo tells us more.
Ogeyi described Musa as a motivator who still has a lot to contribute to the game. Amapakabo, who won the NPFL title with Rangers in 2015-2016 season, expressed joy and humility in victory while also praising the experience and the quality of Kano Pillars' team. Amapakabo admitted he was not surprised by what Kano Pillars threw at his side. Abia Warriors will now face 2 consecutive away fixtures against Nasarawa United on match day 2 and Wiki Torres in Bauchi on match day 3. Before returning home to take on Castina United in Umuahia on match day 4. Atlanta director Tony D'Amico says the club is disappointed with Ademola Lookman and will only take a decision at the end of the summer transfer window. Lookman pushed to join Inter Milan earlier this summer, but the Nerazzurris failed to meet Ladia's £50 million valuation. The Nigerian international returned to the club's training centre for pre-season preparations last week after Inter pulled out of the move. Everton manager David Moyes has promised to get Jack Grealish back to his best after he assisted on both goals in their 2-0 Premier League win over Brighton and Hove Albion on Sunday. Grealish's 2 assists were as many as he managed in his previous 49 league appearances for City, earning him warm applause from the fans when he was finally taken off in the dying minutes. Odibi Tarinabo, Rstv Sports News.
Do you love and care about Rev Estate and her peace? Let's build and take her to greater heights. This is the task we must accomplish. That's it on our news at 3. I am Catherine Ago. Thanks for watching and have a lovely day.